All right, let's get started. We have a full pack of agenda for today, this session. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sesha Mani. I'm a Principal Program Manager in the Office 365, SharePoint Online, and OneDrive for Business engineering team. So I work very closely with folks who actually build and ship you the SharePoint 2016, 2013, as well as all the SharePoint Online products. My team specifically focuses on hybrid, so the SharePoint hybrid scenarios, connecting on-premises into the cloud, as well as the what we call cross-environment strategy with respect to if you have two different Office 365 tenants, instead of having on-prem and the Office 365, to have two different Office 365 tenants, what's the collaboration will look like. In this session, I'm going to focus primarily on get started with the SharePoint Online Hybrid and OneDrive for Business with FastT. How many of you are aware of what is FastT is? Few of you. Okay, good. The agenda I thought would be good to follow through is fairly a little bit on a high level, like what is SharePoint Hybrid, just to set the expectation, set the stage, the landscape of the hybrid scenarios. Then what is FastT, because it sounds like many of you are just new to the program, so I'll introduce you to the what is FastT. And then the offering for SharePoint Hybrid through the FastT program, what do we mean, what is the offering that's going to be available? And then we'll get into why doing hybrid, what are the business values that you can accrue from doing the SharePoint Hybrid deployment. And then we have already, I would say, around 30% of our on-premises customers are actually in the hybrid deployment, meaning they are using one of the hybrid scenarios that I'm just going to show you already. So it's like 1/3 of our on-prem customers are in that board. They're using one or multiple hybrid scenarios. So that's another important key data point for you. So we have here some feedback from those customers, and we are planning to address some of those feedback as well. So I'll share with you a couple of, at a high level, what are some of those feedback we received and how we plan to address those. So what is hybrid? Hybrid is about getting the benefits of both the worlds, both your SharePoint on-premises as well as the SharePoint online. We totally acknowledge that you have made a lot of investments in the on-premises, and you have made a lot of customizations in on-premises. So it's not going to be an easy job to just get that all into the cloud, right? We totally acknowledge that. And as you know, Microsoft has been really expertise on these on-premises enterprises as well. So we have a pretty breadth of knowledge in that on-premises environment. And in fact, the hybrid story is the differentiator for Microsoft, if you think about it, from other cloud providers, because we understand both on-premises SharePoint, on-premises Office servers, as well as we build the online SharePoint and Office 365, so we can give you the connectivity between the two and get the best of both the worlds so that you get more business value out of it. So what do we mean by that a little bit more is, if you think about it, in Office 365 in the cloud, we have several innovations that are already happening. So for example, we have OneDrive for Business, which is simple file sync and share solution, and it gives you 1 terabyte of storage per user, right, by being able to have the subscription in the cloud, as well as you can get the mobile access to this OneDrive for Business, right, be it iPhone or Android or Windows Phone or any other devices. You can get to those OneDrive for Business files in the cloud. So how do you now link from your existing on-premises to the OneDrive for Business in the cloud? So that's a scenario we call it as hybrid OneDrive for Business. So in general, anything we say hybrid XYZ, it means that XYZ part is actually in the cloud, and then the rest of them are, you could have them in on-premises. So if I say hybrid OneDrive for Business, what it means is you can have OneDrive for Business in the cloud while continue to have your on-premises team sites, portal sites, and extranets, and so on. So from the end user perspective, we provide you a connected experience so that end user, as soon as, however they do it today, they come to a team site in on-prem, they click on its sites to go to all the sites that they have access to and they're following. They click on OneDrive link to get to the OneDrive. In this particular hybrid configuration, the experience will be when they click on OneDrive, it will actually take them to the cloud. So they have an experience from the cloud for that OneDrive experience and so on. It's a seamless experience from the end user perspective. At the same time, for administrators, such as like you, And it's an experience for easily enabling these hybrid deployments as well. And I'll show you the demos in some of these things. So there are several. I just gave one example, hybrid OneDrive for Business scenario. There are several other scenarios that I'm going to walk you through in this session, so you'll get a better idea on what are all the key experiences and workloads that you can choose to start having in the cloud while continue to have your on-premises. To be clear, just to be very, very clear, none of these hybrid scenarios require migration of your content from on-prem to the cloud. Okay, so that's the beauty of this hybrid story. You don't really require any migration from your on-prem content into the cloud to take benefit of these hybrid scenarios. So let's first spend a few minutes on FastT, because this session is focused around what kind of offering that we are planning to give in FastT. So FastT, it's a customer success service, and it is there to help you onboard to Office 365 smoothly and with large confidence. And at the same time, we will help you realize the business values that you get from Office 365 much faster, because there will be a FastT engineer working with you, guiding you along the way on what are the scenarios based on what you provide them, the questionnaires. They will be able to give you some guidances and best practices to follow through. So you can get onboarded to Office 365 faster, and at the same time accrue more business values by enabling into the Office 365. So that's in general what the FastT program is, and basically help you envision when you come into the cloud, envision for next 3 years what it will look like. So vision how the experience will look like for the next 3 years. Help you onboard to the Office 365, and then drive the value from the Office 365. There are several innovations happening in the Office 365, but not, one size doesn't fit all. So you may have a specific need, then for that particular purpose, there is a specific Office 365 resource that you may want to tap onto. So based on your needs, they will be able to help you. This is probably the right hybrid scenario that you wanted to start with rather than these other scenarios. They will help you drive more value from Office 365. And at the same time, also helping you down the road, help you manage down the road. Here is how you should set up yourself so that you are good for managing your hybrid deployments down the road. So that's in a nutshell what FastT is. And it's specific to hybrid offering, the SharePoint hybrid offering. Today, just to be clear, the FastT already offers, if you have minimum 50+ user seats, these are eligible for this program. And it offers you a simple directory synchronization. For any Office 365 deployment, if you take it, the very first steps that you would have to do is enabling your on-premises Active Directory to synchronize with your cloud Azure Active Directory. That way, your users or your customers are able to get sign-in experience, much seamless single sign-on, sign-in experience. At the same time, you are continuing to have the on-premises LOB apps, so you do have to continue to have the on-premises AD. So the source of authority will continue to be your on-premises AD if you choose to. So it will help you with those steps today. What we are adding on top of that is also ability to configure SharePoint hybrid scenarios as part of that onboarding experience itself. And it's a free offering. The only criteria is you have minimum of 50+ user seats, and then you can onboard to, there is a fasttrack.office.com. So that's the URL you can go in and then go through this process of onboarding to the FastT. They will provide you the guidance and answering questions you might have and assisting you through your journey of onboarding into SharePoint hybrid scenarios. And I have a link here for FastT Center benefit for Office 365. And once the slides are shared, you can check out the link. It has more details on what are all the steps, the questions they will ask you so that you are prepared, and then how they take you down the road of doing your directory synchronization first, checking your networks and so on, and then providing you guidance on key scenarios. So the offering is available as of today. So you can go to fasttrack.office.com and check out the offering and then sign yourself up if you're interested in that program. Now, let's switch gears on what are the values SharePoint hybrid by deploying SharePoint hybrid scenario. Because at the end of the day, when you're deploying something and you're taking efforts to spend money and go through this process, you want to make sure they're getting accruing value from it. So let's say you're SharePoint 2016 on-prem customers. Just show of hands, how many of you have tried or installed SharePoint 2016 so far? Good, okay, quite a few. And what about SharePoint 2013? Oh, wow, that's a lot of audience. OK. So let me start with 2016. And there are key values that you're going to get from this 2016 on-prem itself. So the first and foremost is the simplified file sync and share experience. And that means you are able to provide your end users a personal space in your organization so that they don't go off and start using non-IT based tools, even their own personal drives, like OneDrive for consumer, and then start sharing stuff. That means you are now susceptible to your leakage of data from your organization. So instead, you bring them in and say, no, we are going to give you some value within the organization, a personal space. And very common today in on-prem is file shares, right? It's very common that you have a file share that you let your end user to start using it for their personal space. Instead, in this hybrid world or in the cloud world, it is the OneDrive for business. So that's the key value we're getting. The second key value is empower the internal collaboration, which is a very common scenario in SharePoint. It's an excellent tool for all the teamwork and internal collaborations. But one of the key, as a SharePoint admin, you always have to watch out for is as the team size grow, as the content coda is growing in your SharePoint form, keeping up with that growth, right? Keeping up with those kind of what is the additional hardware that I have to buy for the next 2 years so that I'm set for my business growth in the next 2 years. There are several thought process and projects that you normally do, whereas in the hybrid approach, you are continuing to empower them with the team collaboration, but no longer have to, as an admin, worry about the on-prem infrastructure because you could choose to have some in the cloud, some of the team size. I'll talk about it in a minute. The other key value you're going to get is the external collaboration, which is another key use case that many of the SharePoint on-prem customers have used. How many of you have extranets configured in SharePoint on-prem today, in your SharePoint on-prem? Okay, quite a few. So I think you all know how easy it is and how simple it is to configure that and do it in on-prem, right? It's a show of hands. How many of you have done it? Just one more time. OK, keep your hands up if you believe that is very simple and be able to configure it in a few minutes or so. Probably not, right? It's a very complex. And it's a way because we haven't, that use case hasn't done a lot of improvements in the on-premise itself. But we believe in the hybrid deployments, those kind of use cases are the classic use cases that you want to start using the cloud for. So that's another key value that you will get with the external collaboration. Make it simple and secure. The fourth one is about profile experience. I think as a SharePoint admins, you all know we have the user profile application in on-prem, and that's one of the key experience for end users. Be able to see their profile and others' profile, what skills that they are good at, and some people really use that for even taxonomy-driven profile experiences with custom properties and so on. It's a very basic experience in on-prem. However, in Office 365, we have the much richer Dell profile experience. So how can you enable your on-prem users to be able to have that Dell richer profile experience while still continue to have stuff in the on-premises? So that's where hybrid can help you as well. Then another key business value is about search, because search, as you know, is one of the biggest workload where you do have to spend a lot of infrastructure for the search index servers as well as the search forms to have its own capabilities so that you have a much richer enterprise search experience. And hybrid can help you with that particular regard as well, help you reduce the on-premises infrastructure. I'll mention to you how you can do that. But that's another key value. And that way, because in the hybrid world, you will have content in online as well as in on-prem. So the next obvious question is, what's the experience for end users if they want to search something, right? It needs to be an enterprise-wide search experience, both from Office 365 and on-premises. That's where hybrid search scenario can help you as well. Last but not least, there are other experiences which you probably haven't even thought about in on-premises today. However, as you saw in the keynote, by 2020, we are saying 50% of the workforce is going to be millennials, right? That's what we are projecting. That's what we are estimating to be. When those millennials come into workforce, they expect to see the same level of richer experience. They work with, day-to-day with Facebook or with YouTube, with Slack, or different programs, right? When they come to work, they expect to see those same experiences as well. This is what I refer as modern productivity experience. So how can you provide those experiences for your on-premises users with the power of Office 365. And that's where hybrid can help you get that experience too. So these are all benefits you get with no additional on-premises infrastructures. And there might be one place within the search is where you probably need additional server for the crawler if you don't have one. But other than that, everything else is connecting to the cloud. Now the question is that means do I have to upgrade to 2016 in order to get all these business values? The answer is no. If you are in 2013, which I've seen most of you are in 2013 right now, you get the same business values as well. That's one of the key strategy and investment that we have made, sure that we actually get to you where you are today, which is on 2013. Majority of customers are in 2013 today, so all these hybrid scenarios I'm going to talk about is available and applicable for 2013. I'll call out exactly some of specific scenarios where it's not yet available in 2013. How many of you are in 2010 today? Few of you, okay. Please upgrade to 2013 so that you can get all the benefits too. And just so you know, in 2013, we have made significant investment in the underlying platform of the authentication and the hybrid layer. And this is the OAuth, some of you might be very familiar with, the OAuth configuration and the federation support with claims and so on that we have built on top of. And we made fundamental update in 2013. It's the same platform that we are using in SharePoint Online as well today to connect across multiple workloads and being able to give you much richer experience. So that is the reason 2013 is absolutely a prerequisite in order to get all these hybrid benefits, right? Okay, so let me highlight on these values now that you understand what are the business values and use cases that you can accomplish. Specific scenarios that helps you accomplish this are I have highlighted here, and I'm going to go through in details. So let's actually get into what are the SharePoint hybrid scenarios that are available for you. And let's start with what is available today with FastT offering, and then I will also touch base on what is coming soon in the FastT with the hybrid scenarios. So let's start with that. And for that, I thought it would be easier to look at it from the perspective of, again, what are the business values. So there are 4 key points, 4 key pillars that we think about in the hybrid scenarios. The first and foremost pillar is about helping you expand your business with the usage of the whole elastic cloud storage. And this is the one where I talked about providing your users an ability for a 1 terabyte of storage in the cloud, where you don't have to, as an admin, need to worry about the on-premises infrastructure. At the same time, they get access from anywhere, all those benefits as well. Each of these values, I have a separate slide. I'll go in detail. The second key pillar is empowering the teamwork with the quick and modern sites experiences. Like I said, in the Office 365, we evolve the experiences fairly quickly. So a lot more improvements are happening in the Office 365. And in the hybrid approach, you are able to provide those richness to your end users as well. That's why we say it's a quick way to get it, at the same time, modern sites experiences in the cloud. The third key benefit is about external collaboration. So today, the people who have raised their hands for external collaboration, you know how hard it is to convince your security guy to say, I need to open that port in my firewall, and I need to have these external users management on premises. You have had a lot of tough conversations with him, right? They'll say, SharePoint admin, you go away, do whatever you can. Most of the work you do in SharePoint for the external collaboration is actually nothing to do with SharePoint. It's all outside of SharePoint, right? To punch the hole, you bring them in, that's the hard part. And then you need to manage them as well. We believe the value here is being able to achieve the same use case using the Office 365 power. The last but not least is about offering modern productivity experiences to your existing on-premises users. Again, there is no migration is required in order to get this value. Let's actually get into each one and then go a little bit into the deeper topic, as well as I will walk through the demo as well. Let's start with the first one, expanding your business with elastic cloud storage. So in this case, as I mentioned, the key scenario is hybrid OneDrive for Business. And in the case of when you're deploying this scenario, your OneDrive for Business is in Office, bless you, in the Office 365. And the rest of the systems are in on-premises, like your team sites, portals, and so on. This is probably the simplest hybrid scenario that you can imagine to deploy in your system. And today, in on-premises, perhaps you are not using OneDrive for Business. you are probably using file shares, and that's where your people, that your users are keeping their resources. That's a personal space, right? Tomorrow, with this approach being available right now, you can choose to retire that file server eventually, and then help your end users to be able to migrate those content whenever they like to the Office 365 OneDrive for Business. You can provide them OneDrive for Business, the richer experience with the mobile everywhere access, as well as at the same time simple for sharing experience too. So your OneDrive for Business in the cloud and rest of them in on-prem. As I talk about OneDrive for Business, the next key thing that comes up is the hybrid profile redirection. Now this is where, as I told you before, profile is one of the key experience for the SharePoint users, and we do offer, when you are enabling these hybrid scenarios, the profile redirection can happen from on-premises to the Dell profile in the cloud. Now the interesting part here is, this all good, sounds good. Do I have to now roll it out to everyone in my organization to get benefits of this hybrid OneDrive for Business or hybrid profile redirection? The answer is no, because from the ground up, we designed it such that the rollout is gradual. You can pick a selective users, and we call it hybrid audience. As many of you are aware, we have a concept of audience in SharePoint on-premises today. So you can configure an audience. Let's say you have a 1,000 user organization, 100 people you want to pilot this hybrid experience, right? So configure the hybrid audience with those 100 users. What it means is only those 100 users will actually see this hybrid experience. Rest of the 900 users will continue to have the old on-premises experience, okay? So it doesn't impact those rest of the 900 users. Then as your pilot grows and as you grow your hybrid deployment more, you can start increasing the number of users in the hybrid audience, okay? So that's a very key point. From the ground up, we thought about these end-user facing experiences, a way to provide you gradually increase the rollout. The other key point is admin configuration. Because 2 years back, configuring hybrid in SharePoint, it's like a 20-page white paper. Like you literally have to, I think people who have configured hybrid federated search, for example, can acknowledge that. It's a fairly complex, because it is, you're configuring, connecting both premises together, both your on-premises, which is a complex environment, as well as to your SharePoint Online. So that's why it is that complex configuration. However, in the last year, we have made improvements in helping you configure the hybrid in a much simpler fashion using our configuration wizard. So we have introduced the hybrid picker configuration wizard that will help you simply walk through the experience and then select perhaps a couple of input parameters, and then you are done. The hard part is done behind the scene for you. While mentioning that, let me actually switch over to the demo and show you how does that experience will look like. So I'm going to now log in to my on-premises environment. Now here, how many of you like to see the demo on 2013? I know I have a lot of hands already showed up, so I'm assuming that's what you prefer. Yeah, okay, perfect. So I'll show you in 2013 everything. Probably you have never seen, you probably will see 2013 in any other sessions in Ignite, right? Probably this is the only session you are seeing. So I have a central admin center, my form administrator, so I'm logged in as the form administrator. And I'm going to also, I'm logged in as the Office 365 tenant admin center, sorry. Okay, so may need help to project this. Give me 1 second. Oh, I got it here. There we go. Here we go. Perfect. And now you can see it. Okay, so what you're seeing is my SharePoint 2013 on-premises form, where I logged in as the form administrator. And I'm also now logging into my SharePoint Online Tenant Admin Center. This is the Office 365 SharePoint Online Tenant Admin Center. And if you notice at the bottom on the left now, there is a new Configure Hybrid wizard that we have created. So this Configure Hybrid is the single central place that we envision that you need to come and start configuring any hybrid scenarios. Now today, not all of them are here, all the scenarios are here, but eventually we plan to have a single place to select your hybrid scenarios and being able to enable that hybrid scenario. So today, what you see here is hybrid picker. I'll walk you through that experience. And then hybrid OneDrive for Business. And also, there are a couple of other features that I will mention it in this session later in this session. So let me go ahead and click hybrid picker. So that actually allows me to configure a couple of scenarios. It's going to take a little bit time. Here we go. And click here. So this basically allowing me to enable the hybrid OneDrive for Business in this on-premises form. It's a very simple configuration app wizard, as you can see here. And I click next, and it will ask me for the tenant admin credential. So let me go ahead and provide the Office 365 tenant admin credential. There we go. Okay, and then you click validate credentials, making sure I configured right credentials here. There we go. So now it has both my form administrator and my online tenant administrator credential, and then you click next. Now what it's going to do is the hard part, where it's going to check my on-premises form and figure out, do I have the right build, right on-premises build available in this form. For any SharePoint 2013 hybrid scenarios, I recommend getting into the September 2016 cumulative update, which we announced early this month. So in your 2013 form, make sure you are updating to that particular cumulative update, because that has, I would say, a lot of goodies around hybrid scenarios. It has all of them that I'm going to talk about it today. All of them are available in that cumulative update. So make sure you're upgrading to that level. The second one is it's also going to check, as many of you know, shared services is the underlying foundation for SharePoint on-prem, such as user profile service, taxonomy, app management service, and things like that. So it's going to check those aspects as well and ensuring they are in the running state. Because when you configure hybrid, that's another key part. Like those shared services needs to be up and running so that I can connect the on-premises to the online. So what you see here, all green marks, which means all of the prerequisites are set here. Let me zoom in a little bit. And it basically checked, am I running on the SharePoint on-premises form? Is the account that I'm running is the form administrator? And then it also checked the SharePoint on-prem form version, which means the September cumulative update. That's the bill number for that cumulative update. It checked that. And then also it checked a couple of shared services, and are they online and working or not. So all these prerequisites, if you said 2 years back, it's a white paper we had, but now we made automated all of them. So it's all there. So the question is, what happens if I have missing some of the prerequisite? Well, here is the view report link right here. So if you have failures, if you click on view report, it will tell you which prerequisite was not met, so that you can go off and fix that prerequisite and then rerun the wizard so that you get all the green in this box. Make sense? Right? So now let me go ahead and click next here. So it did the prerequisite check. Now here is the interesting part. So here is all the scenarios that are available in this picker experience wizard. So let me zoom in again. So there are 4 key scenarios that I here call it out. I'm talking about hybrid OneDrive for Business. That's the top one checkbox that's there. And as you check the specific feature, it will also tell you which other features, related features, may also get enabled. The reason for that is, as you know, SharePoint has very interconnected features. Like, for example, OneDrive is connected with my site host with the profile, for example, right? So there are interconnected features like that. So it's hard to say, no, you can have just this, just this. So that's why we show you, if you select OneDrive for Business, well, there are going to be some other features enabled as well as part of it, so that you know which features are actually getting enabled. So in this demo, I'm going to, in the interest of time, go ahead and enable all of them except the app launcher. And then let's go ahead and click next. Now it's doing next hardest part, which is to configure hybrid in this on-premises form. So what it's doing is it's requiring the on-premises and then making sure all the command list that is already pre-checked available based on the scenario that is selected. Remember, I selected 3 scenarios in that checkbox, right? So it knows what scenarios, it knows what the prerequisites, it is checking that, and then it also goes into the cloud and then pick the Office 365 tenant admin information and say, is the cloud is ready for connecting as well? Many of you know who have done OAuth configuration. The realm values getting from the cloud and pushing it into your on-prem, all those things all happen behind the scene. And by the way, just by explaining this to you, it's already done. and the configuration is completely done for this on-premises, meaning this on-prem form is now hybridified, is ready to be connected. It is connected to your Office 365 online tenant. And there is a few more bullets here, so let me zoom in a little bit on this, what he's saying on the specifically on this next step. So as I mentioned to you, you can roll out these hybrid scenarios as a specific list of users. So once it is configured, it is now there is no audience configured. So you would have to now go into the central admin, just configure an audience, which I will do right now. So I can click here, and then which will take me right into the central admin center. And right here, I have it. This is the central admin center where my site host URL is pointed to the Office 365. And also, as you can see, the specific audience I have configured for this demo. And this audience dictates which users in my organization will get that hybrid OneDrive for Business experience. Okay? So as an admin, I have the control over which users I want to start with, and then I can gradually increase them forward. See? Now, let's see what the end user experience will look like. So as an admin, that's all you have to do. Once it's all configured, now it is set up for these specific users. In this demo, I have it only for, I believe, 3 users. Let's see, I think so. Yes, this is only meant for 3 users that I have configured at this point, which is admin is one of the users. So let me go ahead and log into one of the team site that I have. So this is the SharePoint 2013, very regular team site that you all very familiar with. And in this team site, since I am one of the hybrid OneDrive for Business audience person, right? I'm logged into my team site with my regular Windows integrated authentication, right? And I'm going to go ahead and click on the OneDrive link. And if you notice, that OneDrive is actually taking me right into my Office 365 OneDrive, right? And it's no additional prompts. It's single signed on into my Office 365. The reason for that is because as an admin, one of the prerequisite steps I would have the onboarding steps is configure your directory sync and your experience, sign-in experience, how you look like it. In this case, I have a configured single sign-on, so that's why when I click OneDrive, it takes me right into OneDrive for Business. So if you think about it from the end user perspective, they don't even know that it is actually cloud or on-premises. In fact, to most extent, end users actually don't care whether it is on-prem or in the cloud, right? It's only for admins and CIOs and director of IT who cares where do I have to put so that I can get the best value off of this, right? So I'm going to hold the questions at the end because I really have only 45 minutes. I have a lot of content I want to share with you guys. So if you don't mind holding the question, I'll appreciate it. So that's for hybrid OneDrive for Business. So from the end user, as you can see, it's a simple experience to navigate between the two. Now the question is, how do I get back to my on-prem team site? Now, well, the Office 365 app launcher, if you click on that, the admin has, as an admin, you can configure additional custom tiles in the app launcher. And here, as an admin, I have configured right back to SharePoint 2013 on premises. So I click on it, and then it takes me right back to my team site. So as the end user is just clicking the link in the OneDrive, clicking back in the tile, and then get back to my on-premises team site. So that's for a quick demo on Office, hybrid OneDrive for Business. How easy what is? You guys like it? Yeah? Okay. And just to be, there's a lot of thinking went in, and to make it very simple. It looks very simple, but as you can imagine, all the hybrid complexity in order to take care of it. But we do want to make sure configuring hybrid shouldn't be like a rocket scientist, right? There we go. Let's go to the next scenario, which is hybrid sites. So this is where you're getting an internal collaboration, and the main point, the business value here is, think about your self-service site creations, right? So these are the sites that you allow your end users to create, and then they can start doing team collaboration. Think about the low business and medium business impact sites. So those are not very critical to your business, and you wanted to make sure, have those perhaps not managed in your on-premises infrastructure, but having them in the cloud. So that's where the hybrid sites feature helps you. It can help you this is mainly for the end users. They don't have to think about navigating. How do I navigate between my on-prem and online sites? I can imagine, so for example, some sites are in online in Office 365, while the rest of them are in on-premises. As an end user, do I have to remember all those URLs to go back and forth? We thought we shouldn't be, as an end user, you shouldn't have to know that the sites are in the cloud versus in on-prem. So the way this feature helps is it configures the follow experience that you have in on-premises so that it will be linking into the Office 365. So the Sites tab, as you know, it's a single place for SharePoint users to go and retrieve or navigate across their sites. And that Sites tab experience is, in this case of hybrid sites feature, is actually powered from Office 365. The Office 365 Sites tab is now have the capability that both on-prem sites and the online sites can be surfaced in the same experience. Okay, so it's a single place for the end user to be able to navigate across both online sites and on-premises sites. So that's how we help through this hybrid sites feature, where the end user doesn't have to, again, think about cloud versus on-prem. They can navigate across. Again, you can pick with the hybrid audience only selective users and try it out, and then expand the rollout accordingly. So when you talk about sites, we can't miss the conversation without search experience. Now I have sites in cloud and in my on-premises. How does the search experience will be into play? And this particular scenario, hybrid search scenario, is probably the complex scenario among all the hybrid scenarios. Because as you can imagine, it needs to have a single search index. For the ideal experience, we want to make sure there is when the user goes and type in search for, let's say, SharePoint, the results that are coming back need to have not only the on-premises results, but also online results. Not only that, we want them to be in the single relevance. Okay, so because you don't want to show like both separate ones, like one for results from on-prem, results from online. We thought it actually much better experience if you show them in a single relevance across these search results. So that's where hybrid search scenario will help you. The other key benefit is search indexes, managing them in on-premises. You have a choice to now actually have those search indexes in the cloud only. So when you configure the hybrid search scenario, you can choose to say, I'm going to have the cloud search index, which means only the crawler part happens in on-prem. So you have a crawler in your server that is going to crawl the on-prem contents, create the index, and then push that into the cloud index. And then in SharePoint Online, the crawler crawls the online content and then push it to the same index. So both the on-prem results and the online results are in that single index in Office 365. However, when you search, whether the user is searching from on-prem site or from the cloud site, doesn't matter. He will get a single relevant results back. Okay, so that's the hybrid sites feature. The next one is the external collaboration. It's just an extension of the same sites feature I talked about. The difference is you can start having just external sites, external facing sites in Office 365, while the intranet sites and portal sites, you can continue to have them in on-prem. But the same concept of follow sites that I explained is applicable here as well. So that's the other benefit in this particular case. Now, the one other key aspect is there is no customizations required in this particular external collaboration sites, because today in on-premises, in order to configure an extranet and to restrict access, restrict only the external users can see these specific site collections, there are a lot more thinking that you have to do and provide the permissions as well as isolation between internal users and external users. All those capabilities, we have made a lot of investments in Office 365 SharePoint Online, where these are coming, some of them are coming out of the box, including the activities that these external users do in these SharePoint sites are being audited as well. So you can actually look into those audits in the Office 365 Security and Compliance Center, because the SharePoint Online sites is where you're using for external collaboration. So there are different benefits, and by itself is actually, I have a session on Thursday where I'm going to spend more details. If you're interested in external collaboration, check out that session. I think it's on Thursday, 12:30 p.m. The last one that I will mention, and then I will get into the demos, is around the offering modern productivity experience between for your on-premises users. So this one is, think about the Office 365 video experience, right? Those kind of experiences are born in the cloud, and they are best served in the cloud because it requires a lot of space, as well as a lot of video decoding and encoding needs to happen across the multiple devices. And the Office 365 video already provides you all these capabilities. So for your on-prem users, you can even think of, how do I just give them just that, Office 365 video in the cloud? Or even Delve experience. How do I give them just a Delve experience in the cloud while the rest of them are in the on-premises? That's the key scenario here, which is the hybrid extensible app launcher. And this is available in 2016. And I think the people who have tried 2016 might have seen that we have introduced the app launcher experience, the waffle, in the 2016 on the top left. So it's an extension of that. So you can extend that now by including the Office 365 video and Dell resources as well. And not only just those two resources, if you have custom tiles, let's say you want to have a link back to your on-prem, you can also enable that using the same hybrid extensible app launcher scenario. Now this scenario is available in 2016, and I believe it's part of the RTM itself. You should be able to try this out if you have not already. Of course, this experience again is you can choose to have it for selective users for the hybrid audience. Now let me get back to the demo environment and show you some of these demos. I'm going to now start with the 2013 again. And I showed you the hybrid sites experience. And if you remember, in my first demo, I have configured the OneDrive for Business sites experience and the extranet sites experience, right? That's the three scenarios I have configured. And I am Peter as a user, part of that hybrid audience. So that means I'm in the on-prem team site, and there is a follow gesture right there. So if I go ahead and then click follow, it's going to allow me to add that site into my online on-premises, from the on-premises sites into the cloud Office 365 sites experience. When I click on sites, and if you notice, this actually takes right into my, let me just zoom it better. Oops, there we go. So it is actually the URL, if you notice, it's the Office 365 SharePoint sites experience. So when you click on the on-prem sites tab, it actually redirects the user to the online. And in this list, the follow sites list that I have here, not only I am seeing online list, online sites list, but I also have the subsite 1 and engineering. Those are my on-prem sites. Because when I'm in the on-prem site, I clicked follow, those get propagated into the Office 365. So I have a single place to navigate across my sites as an end user. I don't have to know the URLs, I don't have to remember those, and I can just follow through and click through and then get to the specific sites. Okay? So that's the hybrid sites feature. And then expanding that little bit onto extranet sites. So let's say I'm going ahead, this is one of my extranet sites, Contoso and ADATM partnership site. So let me go ahead and click on that site. And it's going to take me right into the external facing sites that my admin has set up in SharePoint Online. So let me go ahead and see. I think it's right here. Here we go. So that's my external partner facing site that I have in the cloud, in the Office 365 that my admin has set up. And as the user, as the end user, as you just saw, from the Sites tab, I can just get into these external sites, right? External facing sites. And now let's say I wanted to share this external with the external collaborator. I'm in the SharePoint Online, and I'm going to share this sites with the ADATM user. So as, let's say Melissa is my partner that I wanted to externally share with. So as soon as I type in Melissa, I know it shows up, and I'm able to select that user. That's because this site collection in Office 365 is enabled for the external collaboration, right? There is a setting in Office 365 to specifically call out which sites you want to be externally shareable and so on. Now on top of that, not only it is open for external sharing, let me show you one more thing. Let's say Melissa, sorry, in this case Peter, he wants to share this with one of his buddies, right? He wants to say, let's say matt@hotmail.com. He tries to share with that person. And look what happens. He is denied from sharing with those users. Because in the Office with SharePoint Online, you can turn on the policy such that only the specific partners are allowed, that you are allowed to share with. So in this case, for the Contoso tenant, only adatum.com, fabricam.com, and Microsoft.com are the 3 or 4 that is enabled for this external sharing. So out of the box, you can get these kind of capabilities. Now, on the other hand, of course, Melissa is the one of the allowed domain, which is adatum. So I can go ahead and then click share. Then Melissa will receive an invite, and then she can get access to that particular SharePoint Online site. And as I mentioned, when she is accessing that particular site, those activities are audited in the Office 365 SharePoint Online. So you can go to the Security and Compliance Center and see the full activities right there itself. So that gives you how it is connected with both on-prem and in the cloud. Let me then quickly show one last thing, and then I'll get into some of the. I talked about extensible app launcher. which is basically in SharePoint 2016, as you can see here. If I click on the waffle, this is the 3 that I have available right now. On the other hand, if I go ahead and enable the extensible app launcher, which is one of the scenario that you noticed in the picker experience, and then I click on the waffle. There we go. Oops, sorry, this is the wrong one. There we go. If I click on that waffle, you see several more other tiles show up. This is my on-prem team side. I'm now seeing additional waffle tiles show up for my video and the Delve experience. It's the same experience. When you click on it, you can get single signed on into those providers in the Office 365. With that said, let me jump on to the few more slides. So here is the quick roadmap that we buzzed through. Basically, back in 2014, it was just search. We added additional hybrid features there. One more thing before you all vanish. Coming soon, there are other hybrid features as well that we are looking at. So the first one is the hybrid extensible app launcher that I showed you is available in 2016 only today. And we got feedback that we love that feature, and we want to be able to give to even 2013 users as well. So we are happy to announce that extensible app launcher is also available for 2013. And for that, you need the cumulative update of September 2016. So that's one key announcement. The other feedback that we got is about taxonomy. You can't forget taxonomy in the whole SharePoint world, right? So the feedback we got was, well, I have now cloud sites and my on-premises sites, but I want to have a single unified managed metadata between the two. I don't want to have two. I don't know how to manage the two. Sometimes I have my on-prem site that are using the managed metadata, but I want to move them eventually to the cloud. Then I don't have to do the migration of mapping the taxonomy and so on. So with that feedback, we are planning to address that. I'm happy to announce that we are introducing hybrid taxonomy in preview, and this will be available as part of the 2016 Feature Pack 1, which is going, I think as you saw in Jeff Teeper's note yesterday, it's going to be available on November 2016. And as part of that, we also making the same preview available for 2013 customers too. So if you are in 2013, you can also try out the same experience. And again, September 2016 CU, remember that. That's the magic cumulative update you need, because that actually has this feature too. Okay? So that's another key thing. Now, one last thing I want to mention is if you are interested in actually trying this hybrid taxonomy in your production environment, because in general public it's available only for preview, right? But if you're interested in trying out in the production, reach out to that email address that I have mentioned there. That is SPTAPAD. We will be happy to get some criteria, because we have some criteria before we go to production. We'll figure it out based on your feedback and your input. Once you are eligible, then we can get you in the production as well, if you are interested. The last one feedback I would call out is about, we have data in both places, both on-prem and in the cloud. Users are doing activities across both places, both on-prem and in the cloud. How do I now look at the activities? Are they going to be just online only, or what about in the on-premises itself? And now in this case, we are happy to announce or introduce you to hybrid unified auditing. How many of you have tried Office 365 auditing experience in the Security and Compliance Center? Few of you. So that's I encourage you to check that out, because it has tremendously lot of valuable data or insights that you can get from that. And I have a deeper session, I believe, on Thursday. Yes, right here. I have a deeper session on 4 to 5 on Thursday, where I'm going to show you the demo as well as how to configure that hybrid auditing. And that hybrid auditing feature is available for you on 2016 Feature Pack 1. Okay? So that is a key, another feature too. With that, let me quickly wrap up. So hybrid is about connecting on-prem to the cloud. I mentioned to you what are the scenarios available in Fast Track and what is coming soon in Fast Track as well. And there is a single site, aka.ms/sp hybrid. And that's pretty much I wanted to cover. Here's other list of sessions that I encourage you to check out as well. And thank you very much, folks. Enjoy the rest of the evening and the rest of the week. Okay?